Hello.
Hey, what's
Hi.
up?
So this is our second midnight ambient hour with Evening Chants.
Yeah,
How are you doing, Nigel?
tired. It's been a long day of many things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're here,
Yeah.
so it's a nice way to end the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To help you fall asleep. Okay, so what you just listened is Guess Pop 1 from his album Pop. This guy, he's 64 years old. I like him. I actually heard him the first time at our first Evening Chant show.
Oh no way. Wait, which
Uh,
one was that?
The one at the tea shop.
Oh yeah, yeah,
NT
yeah.
NT social, yeah. From Rick Sang
Mm,
or Daniel, one of them.
right.
Yeah. And yeah, after that I started listening to pop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I think
And
Pop is the right album to start with.
yeah. it yeah. They kept playing it, so I think it was played 3 times that night.
Really?
Yeah, every time I asked I was like, huh, who is this? And guess
I never Shazam, just Shazam. For your pop out or some shit.
Yeah, but then they kept asking me to just ask the person.
Right, right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I actually have a good story of Gas.
Yeah.
Like I almost saw Gas in Amsterdam. So like into I think I can't okay, 2017 I went to Amsterdam for Deck Mental Festival. And then like so Deck Mental is like an electronic music festival. But like in the first before that then they'll have like at Amsterdam itself they will have like a few fringe shows. So you buy a festival pass and then you get to go for whatever shows like free reign but then these are like concerts so they got like timings and stuff. And then so what happens is that it's like multiple venues across Amsterdam city. And so I went and watched Forest Watch. And then the thing is that directly after it was Gas at a fucking like beautiful theater, like performing arts theater in Amsterdam. And then like the view is like glass and then it's like by the sea. It's insane.
Yeah.
The most beautiful theater I've ever seen. But anyway, the thing is that the Forest Watch show was across the sea. So you have to take
You
in
have to
Amsterdam
take a
you
boat.
take a boat. So like the timing just didn't like it's just too tight, right?
Yeah.
So after the show I quickly ran to the boat and then like I managed to get a boat, but then by the time I reached the doors closed. Yeah, it fucking closed in my face. And then I was just like, can I just go in? And they're like, no, they're damn strict about it. They were so strict. And then like every time people just walked out, during the show. Yeah, I was damn annoyed because I was like, but people are walking out, can I just go in?
Yeah.
And then they're like, no. And the show was like 1 hour and I wanted to kill myself. It was so bad. Yeah, it was really very bad. And I don't think I'll ever get to see Gas live, which makes me very sad.
I mean, you can always try go back and see him.
Yeah, I guess he's still performing live and stuff. So if I see him, he'll probably be in Europe. But I think Esplanade will be a very nice venue. So Esplanade, if you're listening, I don't know whether you're listening, but like, guess look him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to share what we have today for the podcast?
Yeah. So today we actually have 2 special guests. Rix from Kitchen Label and Meitei, who was on when he did Kwai Dan with us, and now he just released Kofu with Kitchen, and then we'll be having an interview with them.
Yeah. So yeah, stay tuned. It's a nice episode. We learn more about Kitchen, we learn more about Meitei. Yeah, Kitchen's actually a big inspiration to the both of us.
Yes.
So it's actually quite an honor to actually be able to like work with Riggs and like talk to him and learn more about him.
Yeah.
Legend.
He is a legend.
Yeah.
Really, really.
So moving on, I think we're excited to share that we just released a new album on Evening Chants last week, and the cassettes are sold out. So yay! Yeah, Jasmine, you want to do the product review?
Yeah. Okay. That's not product review lah. As in like, I mean the music itself is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is our latest cassette tape. It's printed very, very nicely. We changed printer.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the art inside is done by the artist himself, the Matthias.
Yeah.
Matthias Bose.
Yeah.
Matthias Bose. Yeah, I don't know if y'all can see this.
Yeah, I think it.
Yeah. So all his art is printed on the cassette tape itself. And there's an insert with all his very nice. Actually, yeah, I was very, very attracted to all his art and his painting and his drawings. It's all very nice.
Yeah.
It's all very horror-esque.
Yeah, Jasmine did a great job on the layout and like choosing of paper and everything. So it's, I would say that it's one of our best packaging that we've done so far. So good job, Jasmine.
Thank you. Uh,
How about, so I guess we'll just play the music first, and then after that we'll kind of talk more about this person that
Yeah.
we will we'll share more about.
his name is
after this.
Samutek.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be a creepy one. So what you just heard was yeah, it's I guess it's so that album is kind of best experience as a whole, because okay, so basically this guy's called Samutek and he's Polish and he's a multidisciplinary artist. So that's why like as Justin mentioned just now, he did a lot of he did most all of the art for the album. And actually when we first found out about him, he had a Facebook page where of like thousands of drawings, and they're all so consistent and has a certain vibe to it. And I guess he manages to encapsulate all the vibe in his music that he posts on Bandcamp. And he actually has 30 albums on on Bandcamp, but no one ever found out about him. So I just came across it and I was like, let's just do, like, I need to do something with this guy. So this came about. And so the track that you just heard is Zero Risco. The titles are in Polish, but the translation is actually Feeding Ground.
Yeah.
So actually, the album is a 9-chapter album of like a hallucinatory experience of this character who got bitten by something like a cryptoid, and then he started hallucinating.
Yeah.
So his like spirit went out into the forest and
Into the
everything.
forest.
And before,
It's his trip to the forest.
Yeah,
Basically, the whole album is like that.
yeah, it's his trip
Yeah.
to the forest, and then like before he knows it, and then he realizes that he's inside the body of some demon, and then he just like accepted that he's like consumed by it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting story lah, but
It's very conceptual.
yeah, it's pretty conceptual, but yeah, listen to it as a whole. Yeah. Yeah, Jasmine, you wanna talk about your upcoming picks?
Yeah, I think I have 2 songs coming up. The first is from Bleathfield. Interesting about Bleathfield, something interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen him in a lot of like ambient playlists. So I went to listen. It's all very good. And then after that, I realized that he's also Spencer Radcliffe. So Spencer Radcliffe actually toured with Alex G a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Your favorite.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. So he started with Run for Cover. I think a lot of emo punk, and then a lot of indie and guitar acoustics kind of songs, and then he went to do his own ambient stuff, and then that's where Blissfield came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. You should all check himself. Yeah. All his songs are about 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's really like
Yeah, it's all
organic
short,
music.
yeah.
It's very nice. Even the album, actually, this is one of my favorite album ones.
Yeah.
Like the album is so nice. It's like some knitting, embroidery kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do you call it? That circle thing. Then it's like the cross stitching. Is that a term for it? Okay, never mind. but you just see the album and you all know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just play it.
Alright, what you're hearing now is this album called from Blake Hargreaves. I don't know if I'm butchering his name, but it's a very interesting record. Like I had to buy it because I was sold to Boomcat's copywriting. But what happened was they were like, oh, this okay. Basically, the album name is called Improvisations on the Pipe Organs of Europe. I was like, yeah, I need this album. So when I got it, and when I got it, I immediately played it, which is not what I usually do. I normally just keep it there, but this time I was like, okay, I need to hear what does it sound like?
Yeah.
It sounds like this lah.
It is what it sounds like. What it is.
It's exactly what it is. But so this track is called Nocturnal. So the track titles are like it's like a song title, and then they'll tell you where the organ is from. So this one's from I don't know if it's called Basilka Svetiho Petra a Pavla at Praha. So I had to Google where Praha was.
Yeah.
It's in Czech Republic. Yeah. But yeah, I think organ music. I actually wanted to play more organ music, but maybe the next time. But organ music has been making a comeback in the past 2 years with like Kelly Malone, Alan Akbro, Sarah DeVecchi, of course, who just released a really good album. And then an album like this came out. And there's this new term like going around called contemporary church music. So I was like quite fascinated by it lah. And I was like, okay, maybe I should start another label that just releases like contemporary church music.
What is contemporary church music?
I guess it's like that lor. It's like this is stuff you hear. Like I was raised Catholic, right? Yeah. So like I think organ music, organ sounds is very like familiar to me.
Yeah.
So this is kind of nice. And although this doesn't sound very like spiritual in its own sense, but not spiritual like church kind of spiritual. But it has that vibe lah. So like I already have a name for the label, but it's not happening lah. Okay. But the name is called Pastoral Care. It's quite good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like maybe you can start thinking about branding ideas. I'm just kidding. You want to talk about Team Hacker?
Yeah. So before that, actually I was playing Team Hacker. I was supposed to play it last week, but then we forgot to put it in the tracks. We forgot to like download.
My bad.
Yeah. That was Analog Paralysis. 1978. Yeah. So more about Tim Hacker. If you didn't tune into the last one, basically Tim Hacker is one of my first ambient artists that I listened to. Nigel told me something very interesting yesterday. It was actually the album cover is actually like guys throwing down a piano in the building.
Yeah, it's a really good album art.
Yeah, very good album art.
Yeah.
Very symbolic.
I think Tim Hacker is great. Like he's very important in that scene, like the 106 Never, that whole like grouper kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I started with that. Even his more recent stuff is still good. I think it's very slow. But it builds up fucking like intensely.
Yeah, Konoyo.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
I think like we have notes, but like I saw the notes. I'm reminded by he has like some PhD. So it says here that he did a thesis on urban noise.
Yes, he did in 2014.
I love it.
And he was like politically involved a lot in Canada, right? If I'm not wrong. Yeah. So this time I think most of the podcast is going to be like a lot of talking. But stay tuned because it's interesting and it's nice to hear about how record labels work in the background and obviously like producers more specifically like ambient producers and how it works. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna play a track from the upcoming album from Meitei. Yep. Not upcoming, it's really out but the vinyl is due to release next month. Yeah.
And then so this track is called Manyo. Anyway, the album is very different from the previous releases that he's had. The previous releases being Kwaidan, which is on our label, and Komachi on Metron. This time, I guess he still has that Meitei sound, the Lost Japanese Mood sound, because it's the third part of the trilogy, the final part. But I think this sounds a bit different because it incorporates hip-hop elements.
There's a lot of like nightcore.
Yeah, like the sampling is like interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll hear more about it.
It's very refreshing.
It's refreshing, yeah.
So it doesn't... It does still sound like Meitei, I think. You can tell.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's very
It's different in a
different.
sense. Yeah. I think he still manages to capture that sound that he creates. I don't know how to describe that sound, but he just does it. You know what I mean, right? I guess
Yeah.
if you know, if you listen to his music, then you understand what we're talking about. But I think the best way to hear it is to understand it is just to listen to it, lah.
Yeah.
So, after we play this song, and then we'll be interviewing Meitei and Rix. So stay tuned.
Yeah. There's a lot of exclusive content.
Yeah. So yeah, exclusive. Yeah, it's true.
It's true.
All right. Hi, everyone. So we have two special guests with us today from different parts of the world. So we have Rix Ang, who's the Kitchen Label founder from Singapore, and we have Meitei, who's from Hiroshima in Japan. And I'll let them introduce themselves. So maybe Rix, you want to start first?
Hi, I'm Rix. I'm the label founder of Kitchen Label. I produce and designed most of the albums that we release on the label. And I'm also a member of the band Explorative.
Nice. I think we'll delve more into a Kitchen Label and perhaps talk about explorative later on. But with Meitei, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, nice to meet you, everyone. I'm Meitei. I'm Japanese music producer. I'm happy today.
Okay, good that you're happy today.
I'm happy too.
I'm happy too.
It's a good day. So we're just gonna go straight into it because I think we've talked about you in our previous episode. And I think maybe some people know about you, and then but yeah. So Meitei is a Japanese ambient musician, and he has released 2 albums so far. One on Evening Chants, the other one on Metron, and he has an upcoming album, Kofu, on Kitchen Label, which is really exciting. So this interview is really just to understand their working processes and talk more about Kofu and really get to know them a little bit better. So we also have Jasmine with us on the couch.
Hi.
So Jasmine, do you want to ask Meitei a question?
For the first question, okay, so hi Meitei, you can't see me, but I'm here. So we just want to ask you, could you share with us like your journey from becoming? Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. For Meitei, you've come a long way since the release of Quiet Time with Us on Evening Chants, and it's been only 2 years, and so much has happened to you. So, what are the biggest changes since you started Meitei actually?
I may I answer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. When I was 20, I attended a fashion school in Tokyo. The name of the school is Esmod Palace. It was very tough school. One day, I had a class to study my favorite fashion brand for my school homework. I met music there. Of course, I was listening to music before that. Music was important at fashion shows. At that time, I was fascinated by the world view of the brand called Number 9, which was founded by Takahiro Miyashita. Also, for Undercover by Jun Takahashi. At the fashion show, I learned about the existence of John Frusciante's first album. His first album was really creative and only he could make. And a friend of mine lent me his CD album. It was wonderfully unique and beautiful. From there, I began to take an interest in music. Then I bought a guitar. Okay.
I think talking about your interest in fashion, I think maybe some people don't really know much about it. So thanks for sharing. I think what's interesting is that you and Rix have an affinity with fashion and music. So Rix, you came in a nice gear. I think just like before this, I asked Rix, I was like, oh yeah, you can just dress nicely. And he was like, oh, I'm just coming from home, so I'll dress down. But this is not dressing down. So obviously Rix has a really good style. So maybe you want to share with us what do you think about both fashion and music, and whether you think there's a crossover between the two?
Well, actually, I think that a lot of creative directors in the fashion industry, they are inspired by music, and vice versa as well. I mean, us musicians, sometimes we are inspired by anything that is creative, whether it's fashion or design. So I have an interest in fashion because of that as well. You know, just like to keep in tune with what is the current trends and what's new, and there's also one element that really interests me in fashion is really because especially creative directors, they have to keep coming up with new things, but also need to keep everything on brand, you see. So sometimes I think about how they manage to evolve while actually keeping everything under the parameters of what the brand is about. Right. Yeah.
So any fashion labels that you feel have a strong affinity with music that you look out for, like you're influenced by?
Actually, there's this Tokyo, not Tokyo. Actually, it's Japanese label called Lab Musician. So every season they are actually inspired by some musical concepts.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know about that label, Meitei? What's it called?
Lab Musician.
Lab Musician. Have you heard of it, Meitei?
Okay, Lab Musician. Yeah, I like Lab Musician. 10 years ago, when I was 20, I bought Lab Musician denim pants. Aoyama shop, Lab Musician shop in Aoyama.
Right. So, Meitei, what about you? What do you think about fashion and music as crossover?
In fact, there will be such cases. Music plays a particularly interesting role in fashion shows. I haven't experienced it yet, but I'm interested in such work. And in fact, many fashion designers listen to a lot of music. I think each consciousness is crossover. I'd like to release clothes as Meitei in the future and make music.
Yeah.
I'll buy it.
Yeah. So Jasmine, you wanna follow up?
Yep. So for the next question, right, we have we'd like to ask Meitei, like, how is it being a full-time musician in Japan, especially for someone who lives in Hiroshima compared to Tokyo and Osaka?
Yes. Thanks to everyone. I think I'm standing here. I'm really happy with that. The biggest change is that number of people resonate with my art is gradually increasing. And finally, Meitei exists as a business. I play music as a full-time job. Actually, I've always been interested in doing business through music because I get the chance to learn more than I make music as a hobby. I like challenges.
Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive that someone from Hiroshima can be a professional musician, especially in like ambient field. So good job.
So, do you ever see yourself moving to Tokyo, where the music scene is supposedly more alive and more vibrant?
There are such people in the city of Tokyo, but there are very few such people in Hiroshima. I think there are few in Osaka. Especially in Japan, it's rare to have a full-time job in electronic music or ambient music like me. So I think this situation is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think you'll probably do really well in Tokyo if you move. So maybe it's in the works. So maybe we can talk more about Kofu. And this question is for Rix. So Rix, Kofu is an undeniably like a different sound and style from the rest of Kitchen Label's catalog, right? So we just wanted to share. Perhaps you can kind of share what you would define firstly as the Kitchen Label sound and how and what Kofu means as a release for the label.
I'll probably start with Kofu first. Yeah, because when we first heard Kofu, I think that actually all of us are surprised of the hip hop elements that's in Kofu. Having said that, when I listen to it, it kind of reminds me of what the Kitchen Label's sound is from the very beginning, or maybe right even before when we started Kitchen Label. Like just a little bit of a background. One of our artists, Haruka Nakamura, he's actually a hip hop artist before what he is right now.
Right.
So wow. He when he first moved to Tokyo, he was doing hip hop, and he was mainly inspired by Nujabes. But what's interesting is he actually got to work with Nujabes. Yeah, so they were like collaborating. Yeah, they did. Yeah, so that was when we first went to Tokyo. I think that was kind of like the scene that we were hanging out with. Yeah. So and at that time, I think that we are more electronic, right? Yeah, electroacoustic. We still don't know what we are doing. Basically, we don't really know how to define ourselves back then as well. Yeah. So when we first came together, these are the sort of music that we are making at that time. And I would say that Meitei's production techniques and his sound is very, very close to a lot of stuff that, like, for example, what Haruka Nakamura did, and also what Explorative Fly were doing for A Little Fable. And then we had some moments of concrete music in and out of the album. Yeah, and mainly the sound production. Is very familiar sound for me. Although, of course, it's not exactly the same, but Meitei is doing it in his own way. But true enough, when we actually released the press release for the album in Japan, there were a few comments on Twitter saying that how it reminds them of Haruka Nakamura and Nujabes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of the most interesting things is when we were doing the marketing for the album, Tar Records usually will put our albums on the Ambient New Age section. Yeah. But they decided to put the album at the club section.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The club/dance section.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is also the same to what they did for Haruka Nakamura. So, yes. What was the question again? I think I drifted.
The question was about how do you feel like Kofu fits into?
Oh yeah,
but I think you answered it quite well.
But also like moving forward, of course, I think what Meitei did is I can hear some familiar sounds, but having said that, I think that coming full circle, this is the album that is probably going to take us forward.
Right.
Yeah, not forgetting our roots, but as well as to expand our parameters of what Kitchen Label can offer for the future.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's very well said. It's really very nice. I think I can see how it fits into, at least this is my perspective of like knowing Kitchen Label and everything. I was quite surprised when you decided to take up the offer, and then but after listening to the album quite a bit, I think it makes a lot of sense.
But of course, it's not just hip hop. I mean, there are so many ambient moments as well.
Yeah.
I mean that itself is given. So, but at the same time, I can foresee the album doing very well in Japan.
Oh definitely a question.
So for Kitchen Label, for us, because we have a strong team in Japan doing promotions and stuff, I think this will be good for both Meitei and the label as well. Yeah.
Do you see younger fans coming into Kitchen Label and like discovering Kofu and then discovering the back catalog of Kitchen Label, like younger people?
Yes, I actually did notice like there's a lot more young people in Japan. But of course, I think that in Japan, our listeners, the age group is pretty wide.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty equal. But for this release, I think I actually get to see more young people, young writers as well, who are interested in writing about Kofu.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, like you and Meitei you've been working on this together. Maybe Meitei, you wanna share your experience of working with Rix for the Kofu album?
Yeah, yes. Rix was very smart in making Kofu production. I'm really happy that founder of talented label like him supported Meitei. Especially in design, he has already run a label in the industry for a long time. I was really surprised by the experience. Here are some episodes. For example, the main color of this Kofu design is light purple, and it was very important. I was thinking in advance if I would tell him that. After all, he suggested me a light purple color, even if I didn't say anything. Besides, he supported my thought in many aspects of this production and gave me the best proposal. He was very kind. He seemed to know what I was thinking, not to mention I told him. And the finished design was really wonderful, very beautiful. I think it should be sold at airport in Japan. Tofu is one of the new Japanese items. Thanks to him, I was able to do it. Thank you.
Then
Thank
for
you
Rix,
too.
Yeah.
Meitei and Rix are having a moment right now. So anyway, Rix, do you wanna share about your experience working with Meitei?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty smooth. Actually, thanks to you, we got introduced to each other. Yeah, so of course it's been very comfortable right from the start actually. So, but our working process is also helped because I'm probably more experienced working with Japanese artists. So there are some limitations in working with people that you've got some kind of Japanese, language barrier.
Sure.
So, well, I had that figured out. I've been using Line a lot. Line,
Like the messaging app, right?
Brownie the bear, yeah. And there's app within the Line messaging platform that does real-time translation.
Oh wow!
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've been using that a lot with my artists. So all of us got lazy. My Japanese ain't improving, and their English is not improving as well. Because it's just too easy. So I'll be messaging Meitei in English, and we translate it to Japanese, and he'll be typing in Japanese, and and of course I think we have some basic knowledge of the language. So sometimes the app is not 100%, but we know how to deal with it.
Right.
We have to speak proper sentences.
Right.
Yeah. So actually that made the whole process much easier. Sometimes we have very long chats, and these are important. Yeah. And it's very easy for me to work with Meitei because he's very curious about many things. I can share with him a lot of things. Yeah, and I can tell that he's very ambitious, which is good. He's willing to learn, and he's humble as well, very humble. Yeah. So every one of us at Kitchen Labor, and including the representatives in Japan, we all love him really.
Yeah. Meitei is a great guy. I think humble is a good word.
Yeah.
And very willing to learn and he put it very well. I think Jasmine, do you wanna follow up?
Yep. So hello. Yeah. Meitei. Can okay. Hi. Okay. So reading your past interviews for your recording process, right? With you only recording Kwaitan at night, specifically going to Kyoto to absorb the environment for like Komachi, walk us through how you sought the inspiration for Kofu.
Yes, one day I made music with an idea that came to me when I was making kaidan, that was the idea of kofu. When I was making kaidan, I was often looking for a lot of old Japanese visual image. I happened to find a picture of Enami Nobukuni in it. And after I finished making kaidan, I immediately looked at the background around it, along with the visual image of his photo. There were many images of very interesting culture there. I thought at that time, if I don't make this music, I'm sure no one will make it music. Many modern Japanese people have overlooked this. That's why I made Kofu with a sense of personal mission, yes. And I examined what kind of sound texture is suitable for this album. I just saw it didn't make sense in lo-fi music, and it was necessary to create new music with a concept different from ambient and experimental music. In other words, the music needed to fit the visual image I saw in Japan. It needed to be Japanese iconic music, and I wanted to give the Meitei signature as a unique sound. The sound of the nostalgic future is kofu, and it is also the heart of our Japan. Anyway, I wanted to be proud of Meitei and those who love Meitei. And I tried to make the next generation music that deserves to be called Japan.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you said it very well in terms of I like the words nostalgic future.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a good term to describe your sound that runs through all three albums actually. So you kind of achieved that. Yeah.
Yep. So the next question is for Rick. So the art direction for Kofu is like it's very beautiful, very nice.
Thank you.
And like I think every time I see your story, I always repost and say, "Wow, so nice."
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, with you being a designer yourself, how are you able to share with us the creative process of developing the campaign and packaging for the album? Yeah.
Actually, we will have like conversations with artists and Meitei included. Just like to find out like what kind of stuff that he has, that he's been thinking of. But he did mention earlier that he was inspired by T. Anami's photos, and that is really the starting point of the design process. That he wanted to use those photos. Luckily, those photos were high resolution and stuff, and we can print it on
Yeah, that's
LP.
super lucky.
That was the first thing that I checked. Yeah. I think there were about 40 to 50 photos. Yeah. And not only just the color that we ended up choosing, we actually ended up choosing the same photo.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's true. We ended up choosing the same photo, but like we did mention about the color as well. So I suggested to him because his first two albums were pretty much black
Yeah.
and dark brown and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I thought maybe because the sound has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we thought maybe we need to
Freshen
change.
up.
Yeah, change things. And after listening to his album, and that also kind of like reading up more about the characters that he featured in this album. There are lots of female characters, the Sarayakos, the Oriental courtesans, and I did some research, and actually there were lots of lighter colors, and so decided to go with something more pastel. So yeah, we came up with this very light purple, and
Yeah, you can unbox in front of the camera.
yeah, this light purple, and there's a dark purple on the flip side as well. And we are like doing It's actually his first time seeing this. Yeah.
It's
And
insanely beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
and I was actually inspired by I wanted to do something like a Japanese portfolio thing, where they store their history books and historical documents.
Like an archive.
Yeah. And those you have like square shapes stuff. I thought that is a bit typical, I must say. So I wanted to do something different, but inspired by the Japanese portfolio as well. Then I started looking at some of the photos. Then I keep seeing kimonos. So it's a very rough, very loose inspiration, I would say. I was inspired by the shapes and cuts of the kimono to cut the shapes of to make it more angular like it is right now. And then again, I went to Kyoto a few years ago. I saw some packaging for handkerchiefs.
Yeah.
And they usually put it in a box like this.
Yeah.
They package it inside.
I can see how that works.
Yeah, so that was really how I came out with this. And then we have some Meitei wrote some words for the album, and we have like 16 pages of these, along with Nami's stereograph photos.
So good. I'm gonna frame it on my wall, like for real.
And these leaflets was kind of like inspired by a 70s Japanese magazine, philosophy magazine that I bought. Yeah, and
Japanese philosophy magazine.
I think it's called Teme. Yeah. So they used to have like a appendix section where they would slot in few like 20 pages leaflets of random poetry, stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, out from the magazine, they just slot it in. Yeah, so that was kind of like a direct inspiration for this. I even chose like the exact same paper. I don't think it's the exact same paper, but texture wise, I try to create something like an old Japanese magazine, Japanese book paper kind of feel.
Right.
Yeah, so the thought process also includes the paper selection as well. Yeah. I think that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the crazy amount of work put into this. It's wow. Just designer things.
Yeah.
Designer things,
So thanks for sharing us about the creative process. I think you guys should definitely purchase. I mean, it's up for pre-order. The CDs are out, right?
Yeah, the CDs are out. They are mainly distributed in Japan because this is licensed out to Impartment in, and they are doing the promotions for us. Yeah, and we can sell many CDs in Japan still. Yeah,
Nice.
And while for the rest of the world, we are still waiting for the vinyl. Yeah.
Yeah, so the pre-order for the vinyl is up, and you can also buy. Can they buy the CD online? They can, right, from the website.
They can buy the CDs and the LP as well. Yeah, initially we had we decided to do like 500 copies of the LP, but the pre-order actually exceeded the number already. So we bumped up the number to 1,000. Yeah. So it will still be always available. We try to make it always available. Yeah.
I think this is going to be hard because it's probably going to sell out soon.
Really quick.
So make sure you get the copy soon, guys. It's on Kitchen Label's website. I think moving on. This question is for Meitei. What I found always fascinating about you is your samples. Even from Kwaidan, I think it's not even your samples, it's your own voice. But in Kofu, you use a lot of samples and very interesting samples all over your songs. So, are you able to share with us your music listening habits? What do you listen to, and whether you draw? Sorry, wrong question, but like, sorry. So, So about talking about samples, how do you know when you found the right sample for the track? So in Kofu, you sample a lot of things in the album. So how do you know what's the right sample?
Sample. I think I sampled the sound source and movie ambiences from the 1930s to the 1960s. I've been studying for about a year and a half since I finished making this album. That's why it's a little old memory. Sound source sampling was converted from digital data. I'm in modern times, so I wanted to use modern method. It was very interesting experience. I have sublimated the flavor of Japanese past memories into sound texture. It was synesthesia task. Synesthesia?
Yeah, synesthesia. Yeah.
Synesthesia, yeah. Synesthesia task. For example, it's the task of replacing the texture and scent of vintage paper with the color and texture of sound. It can be said that this work seemed to be an action felt from ambient music. In other words, I don't make music by taking over the musical tradition that traces the roots of ambient music. I value the search for more fundamental sounds and human senses. Of course, I respect the history of music, but I have to release the music without being bound by the traditional of music.
Yeah, I think the way you chose the samples in Kofu is, I think like keeping it more like using modern techniques of sampling, but at the same time maintaining the traditions of like the traditional Japanese music and like from the 1930s. I think you actually did that blend really well with Kofu, and it's quite hard to do. Like it's new and it's refreshing. It's a very well done album.
Yeah.
So like what I've always found fascinating about you when you listen to music, I know that you like to listen to a lot of R&B and hip hop and pop. And I recently read in a recent interview that you've been listening to K-pop. Yeah, I was like, what? So like from what I know, that you don't really listen to music that like your main music that you listen to is not what the music that you create. So it's quite rare. So are you able to share with us your music listening habits and whether you draw influence from the music you listen to?
Yeah. This way of thinking shows the result of my unique music. I used to make my favorite music. However, I realized a few years ago that it was very boring. I used to make a lot of music as a freelance composer in Kyoto. Interestingly, I actively learned the music I hate there because I thought it was the best way to develop my future potential. All modern musicians make their favorite music. Everyone is making such music, but that won't bring about a revolution. So no fresh and unique music was made in 2000 years. Dance music is always within the framework of club music, and ambient music is always within the framework of ambient music, ambient environment. The concept of each music cannot always be updated. I think more people need to cross over composition freely. That's why I try to have people who can express their work with a different vision than working with people they like. In fact, I like BTS. It's K-pop. Maybe
I listen to K-pop too. Yeah, we haven't talked about it. Yeah.
Maybe I play their music about 100 times in August.
Wow.
I always listen to the music I care about 100 times. But the story I should tell in Meitei is different from them. I want to create a new Japanese music brand, so I have to create music that suits it. In other words, to express the diversity of music. Beyond music is my dream.
Yeah, very very nicely said.
Yeah.
I think it's very beautifully said. I think your music, it's pretty revolutionary, to be honest. So good job in shaping 2020 Japanese music and beyond. Another affinity between Rix and Meitei is K-pop. So yeah, I would love to listen to y'all talking about K-pop and just like, ooh, like, how does this happen? So Jasmine, do you want to follow up?
Yep. So the next question is actually for Rix. Kitchen Label is embedded with Japanese ambient community. Do you see, so like you have Kin Leon and you have the recent Far Away compilation with
Hiroshi.
Hiroshi.
Mm.
Do you see Meitei working with other Japanese artists in your label?
Yeah, actually, I thought about it before, and for Kitchen Label, the artists usually have something in common. Yeah, all of them are very sensitive to their immediate surroundings, to feelings, and stuff like that. And they are all connected in some ways, and that is really the basis of how each artist gets into the Kitchen Label family, really. There's always something that connects us all. But I think in terms of collaborations, I would say probably Ironomi. Because they are trying to make something that is very Japanese, and but they are representing a kind of modern Japanese music should be like. The only difference, the similarities between Ironomi and Meitei is they like to use very old Japanese characters, kanjis, for their album titles. Ironomi does that as well. And sometimes, I have to like check the dictionary what it means, and you cannot even find it. Some words are so poetic, they're so that you can't just explain it. Yeah, it's so difficult to explain certain things. So sometimes it gives me a problem, like how do I really do the press release for this? It's like But anyway, they're similar in this aspect, but Ironomi is kind of like doing more impressionist kind. I think Meitei is kind of like challenging the notions of what Japanese music is supposed. But I think they are both coming from the same roots, the same basic idea. Yeah, so I think it will be quite interesting, like how they will sound when they collaborate in the future.
Yeah, I think it will be quite interesting tension between the two. It's quite interesting. Make it happen. So you mentioned just now about like that being very embedded within the ambient scene. How do you feel? I guess you kind of answered it just now, but maybe just to sum it up, how do you feel about Meitei fitting into the ambient scene in Japan?
I think Meitei kind of like to me he represents this new school of ambient musicians in Japan. Of course, they are like some I won't say old school but ambient has always been around in Japan. But I think that Meitei is kind of like representing the new batch of musicians from Japan. As what I can tell from observing the scene is, in the past when we first started Kitchen Label, maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, we were also kind of like hanging around in the ambient scene, electronic scene. Of of course, the big players, you have Ryuichi Sakamoto, Ryuji Ikeda, and stuff like that. But the underground, we have Chihei Takeyama and Tomoyoshi Date and people like that. They are doing these in underground cafes, yeah. And you have Sawako, Four Color, Minamo, yeah. These musicians that are doing stuff. But they are, I would say that they are quite academic. Their approach to things is quite academic and more they play at places like temples, even temples, and
Love it.
Nice cafes and stuff like that. Yeah. But what I can see right now, the new school of ambient musicians, they are bringing ambient to the clubs. Yeah, so that to me is the main difference. And in the clubs, you get ambient, and there's a fine line between ambient and noise, and chaos, beauty, that sort of stuff. And that is something very interesting for me. Yeah, and then even renowned DJs are getting interested in the ambient genre. So you got renowned crate diggers who will be in the show as well, DJing some ambient lost classics and stuff like that. Yeah, so moving forward, I think that Meitei is kind of like leading this group of ambient musicians in Japan, and maybe they'll be freshening things up. Yeah, and yeah.
I think you're talking about like clubs, like bringing ambient music to the clubs, and Kofu sits very well within that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I can't get over how it's classified as club music in Tower Records.
Yeah.
Was it Tower Records or this?
Yeah, but that, having said that is also because the new age and the ambient section is getting smaller at Tower Records. Yeah, so maybe there's more space in club section. I don't know. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I think we almost come to the end of the interview. So this is for the both of you. But maybe Meitei, you can answer this question first. What is your favorite track from Kofu?
I like Uramesia. I want to recommend Uramesia.
Do you know why?
It was raining a lot. It was raining a lot when I was making this track. And the view of nature outside from my production room was very beautiful. It was a fine and moist flow of time. Uramesia is a track that I was able to spend such a beautiful time with. Often I'm not calm while making music. It's always very tight. And about 7 hours passed in an instant. Such a compressed time journey makes me very tired. So Uramesia was not such a tiring trip, but a calm trip spent with the mood of Japanese ghost.
Nice. How about you, Rick?
I like a lot of songs in the album, but maybe my favorite is Sadayako. Yeah. First of all, I was very intrigued by the whole backstory of Sadayako that I read up a lot about her. But what's more interesting is that when I uploaded the track on SoundCloud, normally when you upload tracks on SoundCloud, they will actually suggest a genre, suggested genre. Usually they will get it right.
Yep.
Yeah. For most of the tracks, they have like ambient, they've suggested ambient, Japanese, or world music. Okay, I take that, But for Sadayako, when I uploaded it, they suggested rockabilly.
That's pretty interesting.
And rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but then again, I think that there are some instances in the song, I wouldn't, I wouldn't be surprised that actually SoundCloud thought that it's rockabilly.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean that shows how diverse the album is.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, in
super.
terms of texture and sound.
Okay, I think I mean to end it all off, Meitei, I think this last question is for you. And
Yes.
now that the the Lost Japanese Mood trilogy is completed, what's next for you?
In fact, Kofu has a sequel. This story goes on in 2 parts. The sequel also has a track focused on great film director like Akira Kurosawa. And the story of the Lost Samurai. Please look forward to this next time Lost Japanese Mood is really over.
So do you know? Are you planning to release things with more music with the Lost Japanese Mood, or do you think it's past you?
What?
Will you make more music of the Lost Japanese Mood?
Next is finished.
Okay. It's okay. Okay, thank you so much. We come to the end of the interview. Thanks so much, Rix and Meitei,
Thank you.
for joining
For
us.
having me.
And I think you guys should pick up Kofu and go listen to it. It's already out streaming on streaming services. You can get the vinyl or the CD on Kitchen Label's website or record shops. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Meitei.
Okay. So what we just heard was Kin Leon's Shin Yoku, and we welcome back Riggs.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Yeah, so I guess first question since we just heard him. It's been 2 years already since Kin joined Kitchen Label, right? Yeah. How has it been working with him and with the album itself, and what are your plans with him from here?
Actually, I got to know him like 3 years ago, but even before that, I heard his music for Mitz. And at the time, I don't know who he is and all that, but I've been listening to the music of Mitz, and there have been like lots of people telling me, "Hey, you got to listen to Mitz, man. Yeah, you got to sign it up and stuff like that." And of course, I was pretty busy back then, and time passes, and one day I just got an email from Kin, and I said, "Great, and let's work together." And it's been like 3 years since then. Yeah, time really passes. Time flies, really. So, but having said that, Kin is very prolific, very talented, and in the beginning also very untainted. He's able to do a lot of different styles as well, and he's always evolving. When I first met him, I think he was still very young. He's still very young now.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he has not reached his peak yet. Yeah, and he's on the way there. Yeah, and that's what makes working with Kin so exciting for me, really. Yeah, so I'm always like thinking, hey, what's he going to come up with next? And each new piece of music that he passed to me, like, will always be something different. He will always go another level up and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think the collaboration, the recent collaboration, far away, right? Yeah, it's
Far Away,
really. It's really very good. Yeah, and like the packaging is great. The tape is very nice.
I just got a tip also.
You just got it also. It's so good. It's it's beautifully packaged as well. I think really just now when you mentioned, he's very young and everything. I feel like, do you think Kin has any similarities with Sonic Bread in any way? In terms of like piano music and.
Well, in a way, yes. But also, I think yes, they are similar in it. They like to treat acoustic sounds, and but then again, I think that well, they're quite difficult to answer. Yeah, but when I think about it, because the age difference is quite big for them. Yeah, because Sonic Bread has been around in the industry for quite some time. Yeah, he's been doing sound design, theater. Well, I kind of foresee Kin going into that path, but we never know as well, you see, because we never know in the future. Yeah, so in terms of comparison, it's quite difficult. I think that they are similar in a way that they are both kitchen label artists. Yeah, but I think that's about it. And then they are both pianists. Yeah. Yeah, but I think because Kin represent like a new batch of new artists in Singapore, and the Singapore music scene is very different from what it is in the past. So for the development of Kin Leong might be different, yeah, in the future. Yeah.
Have they ever met each other, like Sonic Bread and Kin?
Well, when Kin did his launch at the Esplanade, was it last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago. I can't
2 years ago,
remember.
right? Yeah. And they were supposed to collaborate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on a piece together. Yeah, but somehow at the very last minute, Darren Sonic Bread couldn't make it.
Right.
Yeah, because he had another project at the Esplanade on the same day.
Yeah.
That was
I think you
shifted.
mentioned it.
Yeah. It was initially a day before, but somehow the organizers shifted it to the same time,
Right.
same place. So they actually met for the first time
Right.
there. Yeah,
Okay.
doing different shows.
Right.
Yeah, while they could have been playing a show together. Yeah,
I'm sure it'll happen sometime.
yeah,
Yeah.
someday.
Sure.
Yeah, until Kin comes back
Yeah.
Yeah.
When's he coming back?
next year.
He just left, yeah.
Yeah,
For a
just
year.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Considering that you guys are based, Kitchen Label's based in Singapore, and you guys obviously have an affinity with Japan and the Japanese scene. How do you feel? How does it feel like being like being based here, but then your community is really in Japan? And do you think that if you were allowed to, and if you could, had the means to, will you move to Japan and have an office there?
Yeah. I did think about it maybe 7 to 8 years ago. At the time, we were doing a little favor for Explorative Fly, and we were doing Twilight and Sketch by Ironomi. That was quite a busy period for us at the time, especially in Japan. Yeah, because it was kind of like heavily promoted. And at the time, I was actually spending a lot of time in Japan as well. I think within a year, I spent about almost close to 3 to 4 months in Japan. Did a extended stay there to do the promotion and the marketing or whatever, and all the collaborations with artists. So I did think about moving there. But then again, in the beginning, actually, Kitchen Label wasn't supposed to be like my main job. Yeah, at the time, me and my wife April, we are doing design as well.
Yeah.
So our design practice is based in Singapore, so we are not prepared to like give that up. Yeah. So eventually we didn't move to Tokyo. But having said that, years has passed and all that, and April actually left, stopped doing design for kitchen, and she went into the fashion scene in Singapore. And at the time, the label has actually grown, and it sort of became my full-time job. Yeah. But then again, we have this problem whereby I have family here, and then my business is kind of like in Japan. But then again, I thought, this formula has been working for me. Yeah. And there is probably no need to change. Yeah. But if I'm based in Japan, I might not be working with Kin or Sonic Bread or Hang Up the Moon at the time. Yeah. So at the same time, I thought that it's important to still be based in Singapore and be a bridge between Japan and Singapore, and at the same time doing as much in Singapore as what we did in Japan in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe you should get some award from the Japanese embassy or something. You've done so much cultural work, like in terms of having an exchange between two countries. It's like, are you like, do you know the people from the Japan embassy? Have you ever talked to them before?
No, I actually haven't met them. Have I?
Maybe you should.
No,
I feel like they'll give some sort of like funding or something. You never know.
We have not taken any fundings from anyone.
Yeah, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Like,
But then for me, right in the beginning, I always thought that it's always like we need to survive without funding. Yeah. So what we did is based on demand and supply.
Yeah.
We give people what they want to listen, what they want to buy, and then we take our earnings and we produce more. Yeah, and that's how the whole kitchen label business started in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's a very good ethos to live by.
Yeah. So with that in question, you've owned a label for so long, right? What were the biggest challenges, would you say, with Kitchen Label?
Well, of course, the the biggest challenge is actually being based in Singapore. Yeah, I mean there are good and bad points about it. Yeah, but you just have to constantly make it work. But also, I started the label in 2008. I think I've gone through like 3 transitional stages. When we first started out, I think that there was a battle between physical copies and iTunes. Yeah, so at that time, CD sales has already been has already declined, and then we are kind of like, oh no, how do we make this work? Yeah. So that is also one of the reasons why we went to Japan, because Japan at that time, the whole music business is still surviving. Yeah, and you still have like Tower Records. I mean, you still have Tower Records now, but in those days they were doing so well.
Yeah.
And once you put the record out, people will rush to buy
Right.
physical copies. And we also wanted to put our music in a larger narrative. When we are in Japan, I think that we cross paths with a lot of musicians, Japanese musicians, and musicians from Europe as well. Yeah, and I mean, going back to the question, the challenges is also really we have to deal with the transitional stage, and then after that we have to deal with vinyl as well. Yeah, and then when vinyl just started doing that, the first vinyl that we did was for Hang Up the Moon in 2013, and at that time there weren't a lot of record shops in Singapore. Yeah, and even before that, when we had to sell CDs in Singapore, we talked about there were no CD shops in Singapore except for CD Rama. But we thought about making something that we can put in bookshops or some boutiques. So that is how we wanted to do more than just like a jewel case or digipack.
Yeah.
We want to make something that people can put in their bookshop. And one of the first supporters for Kitchen Label is really like people like books actually. Yeah, so they start stocking our stuff. And
I actually bought my first Kitchen Label item from books.
Oh, really?
It worked.
Yeah, and there's another one called Cat Socrates.
I saw it at Cat Socrates.
Yeah. So you want to make something that will fit into these shops as well. Yeah, but of course in Japan they thought that wow, the packaging is luxurious, because they are pretty much used to the jewel case, the standards. Yeah, but because of our limitations in Singapore, which is tough for us in the beginning, I guess eventually we sort of made it work, and then it became a kind of like a plus point for us in Japan. Yeah, so throughout like the 12 years I've been dealing with these challenges. So vinyl as well. Yeah, it's so difficult to produce vinyl because of shipping costs and stuff like that. Honestly, we still haven't worked it out yet how to really make it sustainable. Yeah, but we still need to continue doing. Yeah.
I guess it's really just function as what record labels, how record labels should function. Yeah. I think I was about to bring up Cat Socrates because I also like the first time I saw the albums were in Cat Socrates when I was in poly, and I was so drawn to it. I think the other one that I saw was also I don't know whether it's called was it Nice at Central. There was like was it Nice?
Yeah, they
I saw
stock
it
our
Nice,
CDs as well. Yeah.
So I mean, I guess just nice talking about your design background and like putting so much thought into the design. So the follow-up question would be, I guess not many people know about your backstory about like Riggs Ang, right? So like we understand that you came from a design background. So what happened? Like how do you go into running a record label, and what was the trajectory like?
I actually started out doing music first,
right?
As Spiritual Fly.
Right,
so at that time, I was still in studying in NTU, and while doing music, because me and April, we design our own stuff as well. We design our own websites, our own Flash website, interactive stuff, our visuals as well. Then we will kind of like hang out in the Singapore music scene, but somehow we ended up hang out more in the experimental scene in Singapore. So we ended up working with people like George Chua in the beginning, and we started designing his works.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
I know
Then
that.
and we collaborated with Chi from Observatory, and then the famous story of Fluxus. Yeah, I mean, I was working there as well.
Yeah.
At the CD shop, and so because these artists, they were doing stuff in the art scene as well. Yeah, so we had some opportunities to do the art direction and design for some of the projects as well.
Right.
Yeah, outside of the music scene.
Right.
Yeah, and just at that time, I graduated from university,
What do you study in uni?
material engineering.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I just continue doing it. Yeah, because I'm actually already earning money from doing that.
Right.
So I didn't really go out there and look for engineering job. I just kept on doing. Yeah,
Doing
and then
design.
and at that time I think the design scene was doing quite well. Yeah, the design scene was is quite a good period to do interactive Flash website. Yeah, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again it died. So
Yeah, now no more Flash.
yeah, now no more, and we were not interested in HTML, and that's how we kind of stopped doing it as well. So we ended up doing this record label, yeah, over a span of like maybe 15 years lah. Yeah, I mean everything came to what it is today organically, I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way for things to happen. You know, like
Mhm.
it sounds like you found your calling.
Yeah.
Nice. Just do you have any follow-up questions about like the creative? Anything you want to ask Riggs about like the creative aspect of it?
Would you say you would experiment into like other types of design and packaging or like online streaming platforms that are very new or not yet been like it's not mainstream yet? Would you go into that if
I think we are always interested in evolving, yeah, and throughout the process of, you know, having gone through so many transitional periods in the past, it has sort of become a habit for us to always deal with things
yeah.
and try to do something different to overcome all these changes in the industry. So I would say yes. But of course, I think like in terms of packaging,
Yeah.
sometimes we wouldn't want to make things too expensive. Yeah, and I think there's still like a budget that we need to. I think the challenge here is that within a budget, how much you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's a bit tricky because like in order for you to bring your cost down, you have to scale. And like considering the nature of the music, it's just like it's hard.
Yeah.
Totally understand.
Unfortunately, for some of the more popular artists, we are able to do more. Yeah, but I understand that some artists are newer, or their community is smaller than some. So we have to think about how to optimize certain designs for their project.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that has always been a challenge.
Yeah. I think it's quite an interesting perspective. Like not many people discuss things about like the cost of design, the cost of packaging and everything. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting
Yeah.
perspective. So I think just to wrap it all off, now that Kofu is out,
Yeah.
what's next for Kitchen Label?
we are going to release an album by Haruka Nakamura. In fact, I think that the Japanese representatives of Kitchen Label has already announced it today. Just today. Yeah, it's a collaboration album between Haruka Nakamura and a singer-songwriter, a female singer-songwriter called Luca. Luca is relatively new in the Japanese music scene. But then again, we first heard of her when she collaborated with Ryuichi Sakamoto.
Wow.
She appeared in a Sing album. Yeah, and after that, she collaborated with more artists, and Haruka Nakamura being one of them. She joined Haruka Nakamura's ensemble, and she was the vocalist of his ensemble, and they toured Japan. Yeah, and somehow I think that they found time to just do this folk singer-songwriter thing, and it's actually the first time that Haruka actually sang. In an album.
Right.
Yeah, and both of them composed together, and it's kind of like Haruka Nakamura's music with vocals, basically.
Right.
Yeah. Of course, I think that it ended up being one of our most pop albums. Yeah, but we at the same time, I mean, we always want to stay, like, we always want to be unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, look forward to it, to the album, and then after that, next will be, we'll be celebrating like the 10th anniversary of Twilight by Haruka Nakamura. Yeah, basically Twilight is our most, I would say, most important album for Kitchen Label. Yeah, probably what Kwaidan is to Evening Chants. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so we are finally going to reissue like the album on vinyl. Yeah, and that is coming out in December.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we have like the Esprit Fly album.
Yes.
It's been 10 years already. I cannot believe it. It's been 10 years. So we are releasing that. And actually, we will be working with Meitei again for a Kofu sequel.
Nice.
Yeah.
So soon. Will it be out next year?
I wasn't prepared to release this info. He already said it, so yeah, we might as well.
This is why you have to tune in, guys.
yeah. I'll probably not say it anywhere else. Yeah, but coming back to the album, I think I can speak more on that. Where he actually passed me a lot of tracks for Kofu. Yeah, and I told him it was actually quite. It was too long. Yeah, I had to make like maybe even 3 LPs for that. So
No way.
yeah, so.
Are these all polished like they're all polished tracks?
Yeah, it was all meant for Kofu.
Oh my
but
God.
then again, we didn't think about it. But he went to rearrange the album, and Kofu is what it is today. So after it was said and done, then the conversation about Kofu 2 came about.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess that is really gonna be the final Lost Japanese Mood from Meitei.
Sadly.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's going to do exciting things.
Yeah.
Like it's always like
Yeah, he already has a lot of amazing ideas already. Yeah, and I think that
Actually, I wanted to ask a follow-up question because you were mentioning, like with wasn't Luca, right? And like with Ryuichi Sakamoto. Do you think Ryuichi Sakamoto listens to Kitchen Label stuff? I'm pretty sure he does.
I'm not sure.
I have a feeling he does. Do you think there's a possibility? It's quite close, really. The degree is like so close.
It's quite close, I must say, because Haruka Nakamura works with Miu Sakamoto, which she's the daughter of Ryuichi Sakamoto.
Right.
Yeah. Probably, I think that.
Yes, I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Time to set up a meeting with Ryuichi Sakamoto.
I didn't get to meet him though.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know.
Should have put in a word or something. Just be like, can I?
Not famous enough, really.
Please lah. I'm like 100% certain that he probably knows Kitchen Label, like for sure.
I thought someone would ask me to meet him, but no, I didn't get to bump into him.
Yeah, Esplanade, what are you doing? Okay, thanks so much, Rick, for joining us.
Thank you, Jasmine.
So,
thank you guys.
Just to end this session all off, we're gonna play my favorite artist from Kitchen Label.
It's my favorite. So.
Yeah, and basically like it was my introduction to Kitchen Label. So this is from Sonic Bread, and the track is called Seishira. Enjoy.